Hello everyone, and welcome back to Man About Home. This old pickup truck is going to get to go outside today and get a little sunlight. It's been in here for 2 years. I've had this truck stored in here for a couple of years now. It's in the back corner of my pole barn, but I need to gain access to this corner because I have a couple large items I want to store in here. So I need to move this out of the way. You may not be familiar with what this truck is. It's actually a pretty special vehicle. It's a 1986 Ford Ranger. What's so special about a Ford Ranger, you might wonder? This one happens to be one of the ones that came from the factory with a Mitsubishi turbo diesel engine. It also happens to be four-wheel drive with a 5-speed manual transmission, so it's a pretty cool truck. Before I can move this, I have to get it started. It hasn't been started in, I'd say, probably 2 years. And the first thing I need to do then, after checking the oil, which is good, I have to put the batteries in. And yeah, I said batteries. This thing takes two 12-volt batteries. So I'll put those in, and when I'm ready to crank it over, I'll restart the camera and we'll get to see together whether this thing's going to fire up or not. Okay, the batteries are in. I have an oil pressure gauge hooked up here so I can see the oil pressure come up on the engine when I start it. I checked the oil level, it's good. I checked the coolant level, added some. It wasn't really that low. So I guess I'm ready to see if it'll crank over and fire up. Stand by.
It concerns me that it took 11 seconds from the first crank to oil pressure registering on the gauge. I've never videoed that before, so I don't know if it's normal. I'll be checking that again next time I cold start it.
Did I mention it's been 2 years since this thing was started? It always starts like that. It just cranks right up and runs. About almost 90 psi oil pressure on the engine. That'll drop down to about 35 when it's idling after it's warmed up. Down to about 55 psi, the oil pressure now. PSI.
The day's work in the barn is completed. Now it's time to put her away for the night. Uh-oh. The old battery terminals are acting up as usual.
Battery terminals loose. They really need to be replaced. There's a lot to be done on this before I can try putting this old truck back on the road. Obviously the grille, the headlights, the front bumper need to be installed. Also the trim around the windshield. The side door windows need to be reassembled. and I need to go through all the brakes. Right now, the brakes seem to be a little bound up, and the emergency brake pedal doesn't come all the way up, so I think the cable's bound up. When I drive it, it definitely has to push against something that's holding it back, so I'm pretty sure it's the parking brake. I'm going to replace all of the battery cables and terminals on both sides, all of them. And the fiberglass cap needs to be secured to the truck bed. That's what I have on my list so far, and who knows what else I'll find along the way. Oh, I just thought of the inside door panels. They need to be put back in. So there's a lot to do, and I'll be picking away at it over time. Occasionally I'll make a video, for example, making all the new battery cables. And I'll probably video working on the brakes, especially the rear brakes if that turns out to be the problem. I think it's the emergency brake cables, but we'll see. So it's the next day, and I'm gonna fire this thing up and see how the oil pressure responds on this cold start, so-called cold start. It's 90 degrees out.
It was just 7 seconds to full oil pressure that time. I obviously need to start this engine a lot more often than what I've been doing. I'll need to fix the battery cable problems to make that more doable.
Right up to 90 psi.
Once again, it's later in the day, and it's time to park the Ranger. And once again, the battery terminals are acting up. I could fix these worn out old terminals, but I'd really rather replace them, along with new, heavier duty cables.
up to this battery maintainer just to keep it charged. Remember now, this is maintaining two batteries because they're tied together in parallel.
Thank you for watching. Please take a moment to like and subscribe.